Between all the COVID stuff, including Donald Trump's quick about face and showing up to his press conference with a mask, telling people that masks are patriotic, combined with the awesome patriotism he's showing by sending a Gestapo to Portland, there was a little ditty that came out in between all that in his press conferences that I don't think's gotten quite enough coverage, and I thought maybe, just maybe, we should take a quick peek at this, and we'll discuss some things.
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
So that was Donald Trump's statement when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, if you don't know who she is a former associate of Jeffrey Epstein. There's a whole big rabbit hole that we're going to go down there. But before I even get to that, I wanted to point out that after Donald Trump, claimed that he wished her well, the internet lit up with people who were aghast. But there was one person who came to Trump's defense about this specific statement. And of all people, it was Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo threw this out there. When asked, real Donald Trump said he wished Ghislaine Maxwell arrested well. I think he was capitalizing on the hashtag there. With media mob eager to see her lynched, it was brave to weigh in. Fact. Cases versus her are for crimes allegedly committed more than 25 years ago. She deserved bail and got solitary confinement. Woke politics. Now, if you've stuck with me for the last 2 minutes and you don't actually know who Ghislaine Maxwell is, we're now going to take a brief run down memory lane. I'm going to explain to you who she is, what her connection is to both Donald Trump and Geraldo Rivera, and then, of course, I'm going to tie it all together and explain to you why this is something that went from like an internet tinfoil hat conspiracy theory to a full-blown, actual, legal government case. It blew my mind. All right, so here we go. Real quick. Who is Ghislaine Maxwell? She's a British socialite known for her association with financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. She was recently charged with crimes of enticement of minors and sex trafficking of children. She worked primarily for her father, publishing tycoon fraudster Robert Maxwell, until his death in 1991 when she moved to the United States and became a close associate of Epstein. Maxwell has faced persistent allegations of procuring and sexually trafficking underage girls for Epstein and others, charges she has denied. Now, I'm going to go even further back real quick, and I'm going to explain to you who her father was. Robert Maxwell was a British media proprietor, a member of parliament, and a suspected spy and fraudster. Foreign Office suspected that Maxwell was a secret agent of a foreign government, possibly a double or triple agent, and a thoroughly bad character, almost certainly financed by Russia. Maxwell had known links to the British Secret Intelligence Service, the Soviet KGB, and to the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. 6 serving former heads of Israeli intelligence services attended Maxwell's funeral in Israel, while Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir eulogized him and stated, "He has done more for Israel than can today be told." Okay? So this guy was a triple agent working with the British intelligence agency MI6, the KGB, and Mossad. He also owned the Mirror, and he owned Macmillan Presses. He eventually had to sell a whole bunch of his stuff because it turns out that he bilked $400 million out of his employees' pension fund. And then he mysteriously died, apparently while on his yacht, in the Caribbean and standing on board it naked and peeing over the side. I'm not joking. This is actually the legal story as to what happened to him. For what it's worth, his yacht was named the Ghislaine, which he named after his daughter. So let's get back to her, the daughter of a triple agent and a multimillionaire who scammed hundreds of millions of dollars from his employees. Okay, this is where we're starting. When she came to New York, she met Jeffrey Epstein in the early 90s at a New York party following a difficult breakup with her then boyfriend, Count Gianfranco Mozzoni of the Siga Hotels clan. So apparently she was in certain socialite circles very early, having been the child of a wealthy intelligence agent. She had a romantic relationship with Epstein for several years in the 90s and remained closely associated with him for decades. The nature of their relationship remains unclear. In a 2009 deposition, several of Epstein's household employees testified that Epstein referred to her as his, quote, main girlfriend, who also hired, fired, and supervised his staff, starting around 1992. She's also been referred to, quote, as the lady of the house by Epstein's staff, and as his, quote, aggressive assistant. In a 2003 Vanity Fair profile on Epstein, Epstein referred to Maxwell as, quote, my best friend. Ward also observed that Maxwell seemed to organize much of his life. Maxwell is also known for her long-standing friendship with Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and for having notoriously escorted him to a, quote, hookers and pimp social function in New York. She introduced Epstein to Prince Andrew, and the three often socialized together. Now, there have been stories circulating both, in areas and on the internet for the better part of a decade now about Prince Andrew and his penchant for relationships with very young women, and that Jeffrey Epstein was the person who facilitated that. There have also been numerous stories, whether they're true or otherwise, of Jeffrey Epstein having association with Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump, and even Bill Clinton. And again, these stories have persisted for years. They're based on flight logs and pictures and videos. And Jeffrey Epstein was an extremely bad person. Now it goes from bad to worse. In 2000, Maxwell and Epstein attended a party thrown by Prince Andrew at the Queen's Sandringham House estate in Norfolk, England, reportedly for Maxwell's 39th birthday. In a November 2019 interview with the BBC, Prince Andrew confirmed that Maxwell and Epstein had attended the event at his invitation. Maxwell has also been associated and photographed with Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, and lawyer Alan Dershowitz, all of whom have been accused of sexual misconduct. In 1995, Epstein renamed one of his companies the Ghislaine Corporation, based in Palm Beach, Florida. As a trained helicopter pilot, Ghislaine Maxwell also transported Epstein to his private Caribbean island from where they were in Florida. In 2008, Epstein was convicted of soliciting a minor for prostitution and served 13 months of an 18-month jail sentence. Following his release, although Maxwell continued to attend prominent social functions, she and Epstein were no longer seen together publicly. By late 2015, Maxwell had largely retreated from attending social functions. Ghislaine Maxwell has been a named defendant, along with Jeffrey Epstein, in about a dozen different civil cases, not the least of which is one stemming from her being accused of recruiting a teenager in 1999 and grooming her to provide sexual services for Epstein. 2018 expose revealed that the girl met Maxwell at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida, where she was working at the time. She asserted Maxwell had introduced her to Epstein, after which she was groomed by the two of them for his pleasure, including lessons in Epstein's preference during oral sex. And this is all in a court deposition. She was like 16 years old, 15 years old or something. She was working as like a bus person in the dining hall at Mar-a-Lago. Maxwell's repeatedly denied involvement, and yet a couple weeks ago, Ghislaine Maxwell was finally arrested after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and then killed himself after Harvey Weinstein was arrested. Ghislaine Maxwell, oh good Lord, that's a lot of cases, was arrested on 6 federal crimes, including enticement of minors, sex trafficking, and perjury for lying under oath. The indictment charged that between 94 and 97, she assisted, facilitated, and contributed to the abuse of minor girls, despite knowing that one of the 3 unnamed victims was 14 years old. Her lawyers requested $5 million bail. She was denied bail, and her trial is set for next July. Now, why the hell is the President of the United States going on TV wishing her well? Here's every time Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell have been photographed together. Turns out they've known each other for quite a while. 1997. This is at Mar-a-Lago in 2000 with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And Melania, who I think was still his girlfriend then. Let's see. There are the 3 of them at a fashion show in 2000. There were the 3 of them with Paris Hilton at another fashion show in 2000. Also in 2000, this is with Naomi Campbell at a Dolce & Gabbana fashion show in 2002 with Melania and, you guessed it, Ghislaine Maxwell. It also turns out that there's a video of Ghislaine Maxwell with Jeffrey Epstein dating back to 1992 at a Mar-a-Lago party. She's right in the background. She goes walking by the very well-kempt and totally non-pinned looking Donald Trump with pupils the size of milk saucers. There's Ghislaine. There she is. There she is. She's right back there. That's her. She's like, oh, wait, there she is. Hi, Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah. Partying with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. It's a whole lot of connection between the 2 of them. And again, that doesn't include the Hookers and Pimps party hosted by Prince Andrew over in England. So, why would Geraldo Rivera come to the rescue of Donald Trump after he issued well wishes to a woman charged with grooming and pimping out children? It turns out, the day after Jeffrey Epstein died, Geraldo Rivera tweeted out this. Sex pervert Jeffrey Epstein dead. Criminal charges against him should end today. Can't have a criminal charge without a defendant. Civil cases versus a state might be partially viable, at least versus associates and co-conspirators. Did they facilitate sex trafficking? Underage prostitution? No, of course not. Why would Geraldo Rivera question the efficacy of the charges against Jeffrey Epstein and then later Ghislaine Maxwell? It seems like an odd hill to die on. They've been accused of grooming children to have sex with adults. Wealthy, elite, powerful adults. The kind of people who run countries. Why in God's green earth would Geraldo come to the rescue of Donald Trump on this? Turns out, Geraldo is quite the pervert. Way back in 1991, he published a memoir in which he wrote tons of stories about having sex with his interns and groping Bette Midler. It seems random, but okay, Bette Midler. You want to see how many times Geraldo has come out for people who have been accused of being sexual molesters or sexual predators? Here's Geraldo Rivera on Matt Lauer. He's a great guy, highly skilled and empathetic with guests and a real gentleman to my family and me. News is a flirty business, and it seems like current epidemic of sexual harassment allegations may be criminalizing courtship and conflating it with predation. Sexual harassment allegations should require 1, made in a timely fashion, like within 5 years. 2, some contemporaneous corroboration, like witnesses. Settlements in multi-millions might slight chance exist. Some victims are motivated by more than justice. I've known Roger Ailes for 40 years. He's about as flirty as a grizzly in The Revenant. I stand with Roger Ailes. Weinstein, a pig. Now, any woman making any allegations of harassment versus celebrity, how old or uncorroborated, gets near unrebuttable presumption. Damn, someone seems really concerned. Not saying it's good or bad, just saying the new reality is a pendulum has swung so far to revulsion of old ways as a handmaid's tale. Oh, look, he went back to the well again, claiming another time that sexual harassment suits should only be able to be filed within 5 years. Why are so many who profess to be outraged and repulsed by alleged sexual harassment by Donald Trump unmoved by similar allegations versus Bill Clinton? So he spends years talking about how maybe people shouldn't call other people perverts and molesters, and then once he has no more room to back up, he goes, oh, why are you talking about him being a molester? What about that guy being a molester? It really seems like Geraldo wants you to look at every other sexual predator and sexual molester other than himself. Look, he went in all of them. It doesn't matter. Al Franken, Charlie Rose, the head of Pixar. Literally every last person in a position of power who's a man who's been accused of sexual harassment, Geraldo Rivera has gone to the mat and defended after writing a book about all the interns he had sex with after groping Bette Midler. And if all of this seems kind of frickin' weird to you, let me just remind you, Geraldo Rivera likes to tweet out naked pictures of himself. So the next time you hear somebody riding to the rescue of people who enable, excuse, promote, or downplay people who groom children for sexual molestation, ask yourself, why the hell are they so concerned about that?